Okay, a warm welcome to all our esteemed attendants. We are delighted to have you with us at the 2025 International Coaching Week, which this year is held under the theme Coaching Horizons 2025 Legacy, Innovation, Impact. At the International Coaching Federation Saudi chapter, our work is guided by a clear vision. Let me just sharing our, if you don't mind, sharing our screen. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. This is our vision to be the leading catalyst for excellence in coaching and personal development in Saudi Arabia, empowering individuals and organizations to realize their full potential and achieving sustainable growth through the power of coaching. We are, you can see my screen, it's a problem. Our vision, yes, we are equally committed to our mission to advance the art, science, and practice of professional coaching in Saudi Arabia by providing a high-quality education, fostering a strong community of skilled coaches, promoting ethical standards, and creating opportunities for growth and collaboration. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the ICF Saudi chapter, we are truly honored and pleased by your presence and engagement. The board works continuously to provide top-tier learning resources and professional support for its member, and is fully dedicated to organizing this week's events in alignment with global ICF directions and best professional practices. Let me introduce our board members. Our President, Coach Abdel Sattar Abu Al-Ula, our Vice President, Coach Haytham Al-Masri, Coach Lina Al-Rais, our Executive Secretary, Coach Rasha Al-Ajuz as a membership director, Dr. Nada Fida, Marketing and Communication Director, Abdulrahman Joud as an Event and Community Director, Walid Marwan as a Treasurer, May Al-Amru, Coach May Al-Amru as a Partnership and Innovation Director, and your speaker, Afaf Ghazi as a Knowledge and Credential Director. Please welcome our President, Coach Abdel Sattar, to welcome you in this event.
Thank you, Coach Afaf. What a great introduction, and thank you for all those who are attending today. Actually, for me, it's a very, very special day, not only because it's the ICW, which happens on a yearly basis. The reason we're here today is to help people develop. The reason we're here today is to continue spreading what is coaching, the importance of coaching, why become a coach. And not only that, the great and good news that I would like to share with you today is that this year is the 10th anniversary of the Saudi chapter. Yes, it might be a coincidence, but it's a great coincidence. And it's 30 years of ICF's birth worldwide and globally. Of course, as Coach Afaf has already mentioned, our theme basically is Coaching Horizons in 2025, which focuses on the legacy, innovation, impact. It's a 1 week. It's happening globally. Every single chapter around the globe is doing what we are doing today. And this is what I always think of, let's have fun, let's learn, let's develop ourselves. And I would like to give a special thank you to Coach Lina, who's kickstarting the ICW with the ICF Saudi chapter in Saudi. Thank you very much for being part of this. We are here to listen to you. We are here to learn from you. And I'm pretty sure with your experience that we will learn and we will all develop. I assume at the end, of course, that you will give the space for people to ask questions. Welcome on board, everyone, and enjoy the day and enjoy the week, and looking forward for a great week of ICW. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach Abdel Sattar. Okay. Joining you today from the Saudi chapters, Afaf Ghazi, as I mentioned, the Knowledge and Credential Director. And it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure to warmly welcome our distinguished guest for today's night, for today's webinar, Coach Lina Assaad and Coach Fatima Vakhjavanpur, who will be presenting a session titled A Diversity Lens Through Coaching. Please, if you allow me to just to let you know, to ensure a smooth and respectful learning experience today for all, please keep your microphone mute all the time, please, and place your questions in the chat box, please. To receive your continuous education hours certificate, ensure, please, first, you remain in the sessions until the end. Second, you have to, or to be sure about your name appearing in Zoom, matching with your registration name in the event on the platform, on the ICF platform. Please be sure about this. Okay? Okay, so now let us start or kick off our session today, or our event today. Let me, okay. Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you for your joining us today. We are really looking forward to this important conversation on coaching through a diversity lens. As coaches, we work with people from all over the world and all life and all the kind of life, actually. And that means we naturally comes across many kinds of differences. Today, we are focusing on, especially on cultural, generational, and actually gender diversity. So when we talk about these differences show up in how our clients think, communicate, lead, and even how they respond to coaching. We know there are many layers to diversity, and part of our role as coaches is to grow our awareness of these differences, so we can support our clients in a respectful and meaningful way. This session is a chance to reflect on how we show up, how we create inclusive spaces, and how coaching can be a tool to help others embrace diversity, and how coaching can be also a tool to help others embrace diversity in leadership and beyond. I'm also delighted to welcome our incredible speakers today, Coach Lina Assaad and Coach Fatima Vakhjavanpur. Please, both of them will bring years of experience coaching across cultural generations and genders, and I know we will learn from a lot from their respective today. So please welcome our speakers today, and I will let them to introduce themselves. Go ahead, Lina.
Thank you. Sorry?
Coach Lina, go ahead. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Coach Afaf. Thank you, Coach Abdel Sattar. Thank you for all the Saudi chapter team. I know how much it takes to bring these events to life. And I know that, you know, it's a huge effort for all of you. So I'm very proud to be here with my colleague, Fatima, to co-lead this session. And before we start, so a little bit about me. It's the hardest question to answer, to be very honest. So I'm an executive coach. I do leadership coaching. I'm also certified as a team coach. And I work mostly with C-suite senior leaders to help them reach their next level of success, to bring personal and organizational excellence. I have years of work with multinational. I have held leadership roles with multinational companies across the EMEA region. So from long time ago, I bring a lot of understanding of real world experience and challenges of leaders. And this is what I enjoy, why I enjoy working with them, because I love, you know, taking them through their challenges and helping and supporting them to go to the next level. I coach across a diverse region already, the GCC, the MENA region, and beyond. I coach also across Europe, the US, and my clients come from diverse industries, not only from diverse region, across, you know, all the way from banking, finance, IT to healthcare, oil and gas, nuclear. So it's a very big a spectrum, and I enjoy, you know, this work that I do. But more than coaching, I'm passionate about also elevating and raising the profile of professional coaching in the region. As you may know, I held different roles with ICF, with the UAE chapter. I continue to, as past president, and I continue to hold with the global roles with the governance committee as chairperson. So I really love speaking about coaching and raising awareness in the organization. And I support a lot of women. I was privileged to be on multiple work with the in Saudi specifically, as we're talking about Saudi chapter, but also across the region. I was privileged to be part of MISC, of ADAL, of the Raya Gate, and many high impact projects. And what else? I'll leave it here and open to Fatima to talk more about herself, with her also richness of the profile that she brings.
Thank you very much, Lina. And thank you, Coach Afaf and Abdul Sattar and all the Saudi chapter for inviting me and letting us co-lead this session with dear Lina. I'm very happy to be here and to celebrate the International Coaching Week, which is very close to my heart. And I think this is the week that we dedicated to coaching, and it takes a lot of love and effort to organize these events, and so many people are dedicating their time, so we really appreciate it. And the impact of this coaching week is always huge, and it raises a lot of awareness about our profession. So thank you very much. My name is Fatima Vakhjavanpur. I am also an executive team coach, systemic coach, and first to say my background is from also corporate and organizations, where I held the leadership roles for like 18 years in different industries, in multinational companies. And I came from that world and transitioned into being a coach that coaches those people in those organizations and corporates, because I know that world and I know that life. I was very passionate to coach the people in organizations to bring the human side of work to them and to build better conversations between people, because at the core, every human being, they have something in common, and then when we go further, there are a lot of differences in them, and we can bring them all together and have better conversations together for better results and hopefully a better world. As I said, I coach one-on-one, I coach teams, I coach systemic. I'm also faculty member of Assaad University, where I teach their leadership programs. And also, I'm a faculty of CTI, the Coaches Training Institute, where I teach their coach training programs. I've been working with diverse groups since I started in the past in my corporate world, but also as a coach in the past 18 years. And I think at any given time, I'm working with about 40 plus nationalities and many languages and many ethnicities. And that's such a rich experience that also grows me as a coach. And I really appreciate it. And also, I have noticed in my experience that there are subtleties that is very important to pay attention to. And that's why the topic of diversity and inclusion is also very important to talk about. What else? I think there is so much we're going to talk about today about this topic. That's it for now, and we can start to discuss the main topic. Thank you very much again for having me.
Thank you, Coach Fatima, and thank you, Coach Lina. And yes, let me start this event by a simple question. What does it mean to coach through a diversity lens?
Let us start by looking at what is diversity in the first place. When we think of diversity, we obviously, what first comes to mind may be different nationalities, maybe different, colors or race or gender or age. And this is all included in diversity. But diversity, these are the visible dimensions of diversity. But diversity goes beyond this. It goes to layers that are invisible sometimes. So cultural could be personality style, could be religion, language, education background, socioeconomic background, and so much more. So even communication preferences could be type of diversity, leadership philosophies, where leaders come from. So this topic is really, really vast. And as you mentioned, for today's conversation, we will be focusing on few elements of diversity mainly, and we'll go through them. But it's very important to look at diversity as a big, spectrum with multiple dimensions, and to be able to be aware of it. So why we're here tonight, we're here to look at what happens or what's the impact when we have a diverse community or a diverse workplace. How does that impact the collaboration? How does that impact people? But mostly, how does that impact our coaching? How do we respond to coaching as coaches, and how do we deal with it? So we want to be here to deepen our awareness of this topic. We want to be here to challenge our assumption. It's an invitation to challenge our own assumptions as coaches, and to be able to walk away with how we can honor the differences rather than see them as a challenge, how we honor these differences and adjust our maybe presence and support clients in a way that truly resonates to all of these backgrounds, let's say. That's from my perspective. I'm sure Fatima has her own as well.
It's pretty much what Lina said, but to add just the general definition of diversity is like presence of differences in a given system or given setting. There are always differences that are available there, and to be aware of it. And the goal is to recognize these differences and really be able to include them to enrich our relationships, to enrich collaboration and even decision making. That's the bigger umbrella of diversity. Just paying attention that there are differences and how to work with them. Yeah, that's what I add.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you. Thank you for clarification or definition. Yani give us the definition of this word in many aspects. regarding what you mentioned, you do coaching across region with cultural diversity. How does this influence the way clients show up, and how does it influence the way you coach them in the both side?
Well, it shows up in many different ways. These clients come from different cultures. They have different native languages. The way they communicate and express themselves, although from their ethnicities and the age group and all, is something also we can talk about. But in general, in the way people communicate, even in the coaching sessions, the way they approach the concept of coaching and what it is and what it is not, their own leadership style, how they lead themselves, how they lead others. You know, these are the big obvious one. As Lina beautifully said, they are very obvious and visible diversity that we can see in terms of culture, in terms of language, but there are many invisible ones, like people have different lived experiences. Sometimes people from the same culture with the same language, they have gone through different experiences that makes them very, very diverse. And in coaching sessions, all those rich experiences come in, and how they approach, how they ask or receive feedback. It really impacts that in our coaching. Even, you know, how they hold certain concepts based on their background and based on their diverse cultures, how they hold, how is their time orientation. People approach time in different ways. The way that being on time has certain value for certain cultures, the other cultures are time fluid. They are looking at time in a very different way. And in one culture, being late is hugely disrespectful. In the other one, it's just okay to be some minutes or more late. The way they define respect, it's just fascinating how this all shows up. And as a coach, for us, we need lots of awareness and lots of education to be able to adjust and work with all of that. This is mine. I'm sure Lina has so much to add as well.
Thank you, Fatima. I'm building on what you have to say, actually, in terms of the communication style, for example. And here I'm going to allow myself to give some examples to be more specific. Let's say in a culture where usually there are frameworks and models, and we're not stereotyping, we're trying to just put some context to what we're trying to talk about. But in certain cultures and nationalities, being very direct, for example, at the extreme spectrum, and it's a work that is done by scientists like Edward Hall and others. So in certain cultures, let's say European, and mostly if we go to the extreme, let's say German and Swiss, saying the things the way they are, black and white, and being very direct is the respectful way of communicating. But that can come across as a bit not very respectful, because in other cultures at the extreme, the Asians, but we also have the Japanese and the Arabs, we like to be a little bit not very explicit in the communication, and that impacts the way we can give feedbacks as leaders, and that impacts the way we can, you know, address certain issues and how we approach them. So saying it as it is could be a sign of respect somewhere, and clarity. And it could be, when you don't say it straightforward, a sign of disrespect to certain cultures, you know, where so this, for example, impacts the way I can formulate certain questions, or I take more time to build trust before I can be really challenging and very direct with my coachee. Depending on the culture, I would say hierarchy, for example, the way we look at the power that comes with hierarchy. similarly, in certain contexts that are and cultures, we don't challenge hierarchy, you know, it's considered disloyal or disrespectful. Whereas in a team meeting in other cultures, more extreme Europeans, we can say that, you know, a team member can challenge their boss immediately in front of everyone, and that's absolutely fine. They're just exchanging information and not considered disrespectful. So it can shape a lot of the space, the way we communicate and the way we build rapport. From the simple, for example, when I talk to someone and when I coach senior leaders in certain countries, I really need to be mindful and show a bit of reverence to their roles, use different language maybe to align. The word Abu, for example, Abu so and so in Saudi shows more respect than telling their names directly. I design around that as a coach. Other layers of culture, maybe the saving face, um, um, you know, the collectivism, it's the tribal or family, you know, honor comes into play even at work. And these are all dimensions when we coach that we need to have in the back of the mind. So we need to recognize as coaches that the way we think is not the only way, and we need to be very mindful while keeping true to, you know, asking powerful questions or being present. It's not that we don't do, we do it, but we do it just with a different formulation here. And we can talk about so many layers of culture, but I think we have to, you know, for the sake of time, make it more concise here.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
I
I
just
think
want to add, I
Yes.
just want to add something. Sorry, Coach Afaf. The layer of language is so important because, especially in this region, so many times both coach and the client are speaking a language that is not their native language. And what I notice in my experience, so many times people translate the words from their own language or translate the quotes or some expressions, and this can be misunderstood and or reduce the power of that message. So being aware of all of this and setting it up front in the first coaching sessions, I find it to be very valuable to put it on the table and respect it and uh, just just take it into consideration. That's another thing that came to my mind.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for this one. And actually, I think the language is the most challenges in the diversity regarding the
It is.
culture, the gender, whatever, but language is still the challenge, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to go to the another points, another field, let me say, from your work supporting leaders in all genders and mentoring under sustainable development goals, SDGs, goal number 5, gender equality. How do gender dynamics show up in your coaching conversations?
Mm. That's also an interesting question because it definitely does show in the way that female and male leaders bring topics to the sessions.
Yeah.
For females, the topics are commonly, not always, but commonly is about imposter syndrome, self doubt, um, and not having their voice heard or not being able to say their message clearly, feeling a little bit considering whether they should talk or not. And a pay gap is a very big topic. Like I'm in the same position with my male leader. We do the same thing, but I'm getting paid less. So females bring these topics, and men bring struggle with expression of their emotion. They cannot express emotions much because they will look weak, and also culturally, maybe that's not accepted, or they haven't been raised that well. Male bring identity questions because usually in many cases for male clients, their identity is very tied to their position and their success and achievements. And they come to these sessions and they question this identity and also the expectation that the society and organization has from them. So how it shows up in my experience is that they bring different topics and their challenges are different. And sometimes also a male client having a female coach like me, sometimes that is not easy for them if they're not familiar with this process. Uh, I have been in projects that there's been a request that can we have a male coach? Like the male clients asked it. Can we have a male coach? We're not comfortable with a female. And the other way with female. So it could be many levels. And as a coach, to be equipped with this awareness and having compassion for these clients is really, really important. So when they ask for the coach to be changed, I don't necessarily take it personally because I know it's not about me, it's about something they are not comfortable with. When we work on this path, in this journey, it's so important to have that capacity to work with what clients needs. And there are many, many more points I can talk about. I want Lina to add to this in her experience.
Very interesting because we do have a lot of similarities in the experience working with female senior leaders. I definitely see a lot of imposter coming into play, but also amazingly, male are coming nowadays to an awareness, and we may go, it may be generational also, that there is imposter for them. We see a lot of labeling. So yes, it could be that a female wanting more assertiveness, but I also have females that want to overcome the fact that they are labeled as aggressive simply because they are assertive. So in a space of, it's okay, what is okay to be said by males, but not okay to be said by females for the same context or the same meetings, I coach females to be on board of directors of companies. So any reaction could be also labeled, oh, she's being emotional, whereas a man can get angry. And many of them come to me and then talk about, their team saying they can get angry very fast, but that's never labeled as too emotional. For women, this for females, it's different. Also, there's a layer where there's a challenge. For example, a lot of decisions or a lot of great conversations and lobbying happens outside the office, over shisha, over a farm weekend, over a golf course. And we see that females are being excluded and they are on the board, but these are not official conversations, but this is very important. So how can they network in a way that is appropriate? Again, it ties back to the culture. And as coaches, how do we deal with all these differences? And I give an example. For example, when we're coaching in person, what is needed for a safe space, not too close, not too far, especially when we're talking about the coaching from different genders. And to Fatima's point, sometimes we're selected based on genders as coaches, and how can we suspend our judgment about this is not about me, or this is not right, or this is unfair, and take it to the fact that this is what is serving the client. So these are mainly a lot of the conversations that take place when it comes to gender diversity. And it's important for males to be coached as well on gender diversity, because it's not about female leadership and empowerment and all of that. The work is deeper. The work is about the SDG goal, the Sustainable Development Goal is about being equal, just being, regarded fairly without judgment to, oh, this is very manly approach, but this is very emotional and women hormonal. Sorry, yani the words, but this is what happens most of the time when we show up with a certain way to influence and lead as leaders. Fatima, I see that you wanted to add something.
No, I'm just agreeing with what you're saying, because these are the existing
Yeah.
topics that we face.
Yeah,
This is
I
the
can.
hard truth. Sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, I can add istiraha beside lots of places you mentioned for men here in our
Oh,
region. Istiraha, it's lots of deals happen there and lots of
mm.
communication happen there, and yeah, it's I think it's world yani problem yani it's common problem for all the region actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. And with the, with the females now being more and more in the workplace in Saudi, you're gonna be seeing challenges that are arising at different. And thank you for telling me about the istiraha. I think that
Yeah,
I learned something new
you can
today.
add it
I
in the
always
places.
learn.
Add it in your lecture later.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
your thing. And here it's come to my mind one question about your experience in how to generational differences show up in the coaching sessions, especially if we talk about Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, and boomers. What do you think?
Um, I would like first to just have a quick, uh, let's say, classification of characteristics. Again, we're not here to stereotype, but just to understand certain behaviors and characteristics based on certain age. And a warning here that you might find yourself in an age range, but valuing things in other or having
Really?
characteristics from other. Yes, because we're talking humans, but in general, if we want to talk about baby boomers, for example, this is the generation, let's say the first generation at work, maybe that's still working now, which is between the year 1946 and 1964. They're usually they have those values of real hard work, loyalty to the company, financial security is important, continuity of a job, results. They love hierarchy and very goal oriented. And they, for example, their communication style is mostly in person and a little bit by phone. They are not WhatsApping all day. They're more, they will pick up the phone and call you. They could have, for example, benefits. They love retirement plans, etc. Going to the next generation, 1965 to 1980, the Gen X. And these are a little bit more independent, more into enterprise. They prefer more autonomy and they have more balance and pragmatism. They're self-sufficient. Their mode of communication could be email or direct communication. Then we go to the millennials, Gen Y, which is 1981, 1996. They're more technology experts here. They're more collaborative and they value a lot the sense of purpose. Tell me the meaning of this job. What am I adding to the world? Teamwork and growth. It's not about, I want to work and make money and be, in this company and have a CV of many years, etc. It's different a little bit. And they communicate more by WhatsApp, instant messaging, collaborative platforms. Then we come to the Gen Z, 1997, 2012, and we're seeing a lot more in the workforce. These are, they were born with technology. They are digital natives. They are into entrepreneurship a lot, very individual. They're into a lot of well-being. They thrive on recognition, thrive on flexibility. They want to work from home more. They want to work from anywhere in the world. They want to take off all the time. Whatever works for them for their well-being, it's a priority before having this hard work, for example. They communicate by short messages. They're more into the emojis. They're more on social media. Again, these are general buckets and characteristics, but we might find yourself, you're more into some of the characteristics of different generations. Now, in the GCC specifically, be it Saudi with the Vision 2030, Oman Vision 2040, and others. We are seeing and witnessing a demographic shift. Many younger professionals are now entering higher leadership roles more than ever. There is a push for an accelerated development. And you see that I coach a lot of C-suite, they're not even 40 yet, senior leaders, and they're in different space. So they have been put up to speed very quickly, but they need to work with a certain generation that is different than theirs and have different responsibilities. So these dynamics can affect how we approach our clients. For example, do they need more fast-paced, actionable coaching? Do they need more reflection? Again, it's not to generalize because this also depends on personality, etc. But we can talk more about adapting our approach to meet them where they are and to flex the style into what works, what tools might a seasoned leader need. If I'm coaching teams, how can they get along when they have this, for example, less than 40, a millennial is a leader and their team member is much older than them and they come from different generations, how they can bridge that. um, I am sure Fatima has a lot to add also from her work with Gen Zers, as I know.
Yes, yes, that's what I was going to say is the Gen Z, because I work with a lot of tech companies, and in tech companies we have lots of Generation Z, even the younger bracket of Generation Z. And there are two things I want to add in addition to what Lina said. One thing is that what's beautiful about Generation Z is that they are very familiar and literate with diversity and inclusion, much better than the other generations. They're very open to diversity, they respect it, they're very sharp about it, and they pay attention to it and they observe it and they work that way. They care so much about sustainable world and honoring Mother Earth and things that were not necessarily there even in the millennials. It was the start of it, but Generation Z is much more aware of it. And also, something else that I'm noticing in my coaching Generation Z is that because I'm coaching Generation Z in different countries, like actually I'm doing coaching a lot of Generation Z in Saudi Arabia in a big project right now, and I'm coaching a number of them in UAE and a number of them in Europe. Because it's the same company that they give me clients all over the world. I find this generation to be more similar to each other than any other generation because these are the digital generation that they were raised on certain level of education. Many of them are self-educated through YouTube and TikTok or all these social medias. So they more speak of the same language across the world than any other generation that I have worked with. They all care so much about mental health, and they all speak the same, which is fascinating. And the other layer of it is that I'm a Generation X coaching Generation Z. There's even one generation between us. So I'm their parent. We are parenting Generation Z at this point. So it's like their parents coaching them. And usually they're not aligned with their parents much, most generations. So to really get to their world. I mean, for me personally, it helps me a lot that I have two boys in Generation Z. So it's a cheat sheet for me. It helps me a lot to learn about them. But I learned that I need to adjust myself to them than them to us. And there is so much gift that they bring to this world. It's just, for me at the beginning was a big, big adjustment. And so is with other generations, but this is the generation that is really, really active right now. Yeah, that's my take on Generation Z.
I love what you said about your boys. I have also two Gen Zs at home, and they are my biggest teachers in
Yes.
many ways. And they do one thing we do is the reverse mentoring. How much do we learn from them when we need help in our
Yeah, yeah.
applications and in our you know, the tech savviness that we can get from them. And this also is happening in organization where we see reverse mentoring happen. Usually the mentor is the person who knows more than you, is older, but nowadays we see them being empowered to go into offices and say, all right, tech things, we're doing this mentoring, and that motivates them. And also as coaches, it's good to know these nuances because uh, the coaching we kind of I expect the coaching conversations, for example, about influencing while I'm younger, you know, taking this role and earning credibility, because there is, you know, younger generation, as we said, not necessarily this Gen Z there are, but you know, the millennials holding really senior leadership roles. And um, and and we see that leaders are grappling with this imposterism. This is where we see it in the gender, the male gender. Like, I'm a C-suite, but I need more executive presence. I don't feel I own the room when I speak, because
Yeah.
there are years of wisdom also that have been fast tracked into where they are in terms of generation.
Yeah, yeah, good. I like the way you talk about the difference client from different generation, or how to deal with each one, and how many hat you wearing to deal with them. I know the challenge and the problem with this kind of level of way of to dealing with this different kind of clients, and I think this is another challenge also with us as a coaches.
Mm,
Um, when you talk about demographic diversity, and that we talk about the region, and it's come to my mind this question: what challenges do senior leaders especially in GCC region, face when managing diverse teams, and how at the same time, how can coaches support them in fostering more inclusive leadership in their journey, what we say?
In terms of challenges, I think all of the above, whatever we spoke about today, is a challenge.
Yeah,
We're in this region. I think we are blessed. I don't want to use the challenge. I think we have an opportunity to have this much diversity,
Mm.
because diversity brings opportunity, honestly, if we know how to deal with it. So we live in multicultural environment. There's a lot of um, many nationalities, over 120, 30 in the UAE, at least 80 working together. There is languages, there are what we said, visible and invisible cultural dimensions, the generations coming into play. So all of these, the gender, the nationalization nowadays, Saudization, Emiratization, all of these are coming into play. They pose challenges.
yeah,
Now, as leaders and as coaches, I think number one is to support them in creating awareness that difference is not good, difference and is not bad, the difference is actually good, and how they can capitalize on the differences that they have. And also how to be aware of these diversities in their communication. What does it mean? What's the impact? How do they not make assumptions or judge based on that's nationality X, therefore they can't do this or can't do that. So all of these awarenesses. So to look at the human, basically, beyond the age, beyond the nationality, um, to communicate. The more we communicate, the more we support them in having open and candid conversation in their own context of how culture comes in, etc., the more the alignment and the more the understanding. And I think there's a responsibility that goes beyond diversity, because diversity is only the first step. And even in some companies, we know that they need to have certain quotas for certain diversity. And that's great, but diversity is only the first step. What is more important is inclusion. How can we be inclusive? Okay, well, we've got all this mix. How can we make them work together? How can we make them get along? How do we create that environment in at work that um, that can foster this inclusivity? And how can we walk the talk, not only just create it, but walk the talk? And I see you smile here, Afaf. Walk the talk by making it happen. We can talk about, oh, bringing more female leaders on board, but we don't give them the space for a maternity leave,
Yeah.
or we judge their go. And I've had senior leaders who were hiding their pregnancy, and they're very, very reputable companies, very reputable,
Yeah.
places. Because they were on a fast track, she saw a promotion coming, and she said, if they know I want to wait till end of year, if they know now that I'm pregnant, they might not give me the promotion, because they will cross out that, oh, next year she's not going to be here or whatever. How
Well done.
can we really walk the talk and promote these diversity and make use of them? I'll give the floor to Fatima, and then we'll add some more.
Mm. Yeah, there are a few things. As Lina said, these diversity and inclusion, it shouldn't be just something that they do to tick the box. There is a deeper meaning to it, and as we say, preparing the soil to plant the seed, and that's where we coaches come in to create that awareness. But as challenges, because you refer to challenges of the leaders at GCCC, there are two challenges that I'm seeing nowadays that is really bold. One is adopting AI, artificial intelligence, that is part of the mandate in many organizations, but there is so much resistance to it, or they don't have the proper infrastructure for it. So these are the kind of less spoken about challenges, because the challenges in culture and ethnicities and language, those are the common one that we know. But like adopting AI, it takes so much preparation, and sometimes even in the mindset of people. So this is where we coaches come in, and in our sessions we just get curious that what is this resistance about, what are they resisting, what is difficult for them. And I think leaders of these days in GCC, but all over the world, need to do more listening and tuning in to what their organization and their people need, much more than before. I think listening is a big part of diversity and inclusion. To be able to include people, you need to listen to see what they need. And then there is another thing that came to my mind that's also very subtle and less talked about, is that a lot of these leaders who lead the teams, and they're doing a great job, they constantly get trained on diversity and inclusion. They go to training, they're having mentors. Um, the issue is most of these DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion trainings and literature comes from the West. So it's mostly catered or designed by European data or American data, which does not apply to this part of the world. This part of the world has a different need. So the tough job of these leaders that is highly discussed in the coaching session is to localize these training, like get global training, but localize it and translate it to this language based on all the needs, religion, culture, language, because there are some challenges that is so important in the West that is not even important here. And we have other challenges facing here. So these are what I notice in the sessions, and yeah, I think there is so much more, but I don't know how far we want to go, Lina. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my final point about think what you mentioned, think global but act local. It's like even not only in the trainings for DEI, in so many concepts that we do in coaching, maybe they're based on models. Let's say I help leaders in navigating conflict or political frames in political situation, navigate politics in companies. There are so many models. Some of them are very international, very renowned, and excellent, you know, but these are not always, you know, how do we modify them to the context of the culture and to the region, um, and how do we take the subtle nuances, of course, also of the person and personality. And that's what we all do as coaches. We tailor our approach, right, to the people. So but there is a lot of initiatives that can be done at the local level that are not even in the books of the global, let's say, equity and inclusion. I would give an example of, for example, the Emiratization. A lot of companies have it, but you see people, and it's very much raised during coaching sessions. You see people that tell me, oh, they think I'm here because I am Emirati. They're having imposter syndrome, that they didn't earn it, while they actually have a lot of credentials to be here, not just because of nationality. Or we don't see also, so how can we empower them, but also empower the organization to work on this concept and make it really happen, not just to tick boxes. Even how the blending at lunchtime, managers tell me, oh, this group eats alone, expat eats alone, locals, and these people think those, they don't want to deal with us, and the others think, oh, they cannot approach this. But actually, when we put them in team coaching, for example, when we put them in one room, everything is surfaced, the human beings are surfaced, tears are in the room, that really we didn't know this. So there is a big responsibilities on leaders bringing initiatives to organizations, initiatives that include diversity, to make it go beyond diversity to include equity and inclusion and other concepts.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed صراحة. ما شاء الله يعني you bring all the aspect for all the pillars we talk about it in case of cultural, generational, and regional also. And yes, this is the way we think about diversity and inclusion through our coaching practices, or during our practicing and coaching with our clients. And if you don't mind, before we wrap up all the pillars and things we talk about it, if you don't mind, we can take some of the questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
here, I think all the questions about generational differences. What about boomers and Gen X and Gen Z? And Walid said, I have two Gen Alpha. Okay, we have to talk about two Gen Alpha also.
yes.
Regarding
They haven't entered the workforce yet,
Yes,
but
yes.
soon. They'll be here before we know it.
So before we talk about the generational differences, I have a question from Safe, Coach Safe. He said, does workplace diversity have a positive or bad impact? And there, the age is where? He said, where is the age? Yeah.
I can briefly start answering that. The data that we have is that the workforce diversity is actually very positive. It brings innovation. It creates new neurons in the brain. It promotes creativity. Does it create tension and conflict? Yes, but apparently the data shows the positive impact of it on creation and innovation seems to be much higher and promising.
Yeah.
That's my answer. Yeah.
Coach Lina, you want to add?
I am totally aligned. I agree. Yes, it's like having a canvas, honestly, of a painting. You know, the more sometimes the colors, the better. Now, where it becomes difficult is when there is no harmony in this color, when it's not creating a real nice image. But this is where the work that we have is big and impactful.
Yes,
Mm.
and yes, Coach Amna said diversity is healthy. However, experience must be given a priority. Agreed. We have also here question from related of generation differences from Coach Walid. Coach Walid said, what advice would you give to emerging leaders in organizations on how to effectively bridge the gap between different generations on fostering gender inclusive in the workplace?
What advice would you give to emerging leaders and organizations on how to effectively bridge the
Okay.
gap?
Yeah.
I think it's mostly communication, attending to the needs. What one generation values is different than one other generation values. It could be attending to the reward system. So, for example, I've had leaders and entrepreneurs who've had issues with rewarding millennials or rewarding Gen Z. They were not really tapping into what this generation appreciates and value most, in terms of rewards. And I'm not sure what about the bridging the gap that you want to address, because there are many layers of bridging the gap. I don't know, Fatima, if you have an answer.
How to effectively bridge between different
Yeah.
generation. Um, I think this whole
I
work is
think,
about creating creating a bridge, and it's getting much easier than before. But even I don't know what the question is exactly
Mm.
about. So this whole work of coaching, I believe, and human development is about bridging the gap between people, one way or another. That's the general answer I have, and that I believe applies to generations as well. Creating awareness and asking the right questions. I think these are key factors
And
in.
creating alignment. The more these, if we're talking about how they communicate, so I'm not sure again the question. So if they're talking about the gap where they have a miscommunication or understanding each other's, the more we help them align and value what each bring, like any other diversity dimension, the more they can lean into each other's. Where can I lean on you? As a baby boomer, for example, you can mentor me on this, but I can, as I said, I can do reverse mentoring on that. So, well, depending on the angle of the question, maybe we can address it better.
yeah. I think that will help to foster gender inclusion. I think to foster the gender inclusion between or inside the environment will help the workplace also. As
Yeah.
as, as he said, he's mentioned at the end of question. Here from Coach Fariha, given your experience with Gen Z and their awareness of so many things, do you think the gender disparities in the corporate space we've seen in the older generation, boomers, Gen X, will not be easy as much as problem as it has been, or is there still a lot of works to do?
There is always a lot of work to do. That's my general
Still,
answer.
I think still.
No,
Yeah.
still work to do, but I'm saying actually it's not much of a problem, because my observation, and Lina, please add your comments, is that the older generation are catching up to the new ones, because we have a new world, and uh, this new world is not working or functional with the old rules. And I also see in the workplace the older generations, millennial and X, are really adjusting to these new cultures and are more aware So they are getting closer to Gen Z, although they're not Gen Z. But I don't see it as a problem, to be honest. It does come up, and it's something that is there, but it's more like an opportunity, an area of growth, and positive horizon rather than problem or conflict or an issue.
Mm. I like the way when you said, if you want to see it as a opportunity, it will come be
Yeah.
if you want to see it a challenge, so you can see the bridge, you can see the gap.
Yes, there is a bridge for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Please.
I I
Yeah.
I would add one more dimension, that the world is much more fast-paced these days. So everything is happening quicker, including bridging gaps. So the understanding of each other,
Mm.
for example, in generations, is there is a lot more awareness that happens faster because there is a lot more tangible, um, proofs of what these are with everything, with the social media, with the globalization. Everybody knows everything about everything almost, these days. Everybody, that's the challenge. Um, so it is absolutely, I think, an opportunity, and it's a fact, there is always a new generation coming into place. So soon maybe the Gen Alpha. So it's always going to be a new generation coming into place. So how we work with it, the more the awareness we have, the more tools we have. As Fatima said, Gen Z now understand diversity, Gen Alpha even more. So, so the awareness is higher, therefore probably bridging the gap might come faster.
And one example that comes to me that I think all of us have experienced is the move to the virtual world and all these Zoom meetings, which for our generation did not come naturally to us. But COVID happened and we very soon embarked on it.
Yeah.
But for Generation Z, it's just another day in life. It's very normal. But for us, but we actually adjusted to it fairly easily and fast. So many other examples as such is happening.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. And I want to add something. We work on it since 2017 when we work about gender balance, and lots of recommendation. We came up with lots of recommendation. It's about awareness. Actually, it's about
Yeah.
gender awareness, gender training. It's about when we talk about communication, we talk about cultural differential in cultural in organization, generational differences or regions differences. It's about awareness and cultural awareness and gender awareness actually, and gender training also. And yes, yeah, we have also a question about from Coach Khalid. Question: during coaching session, when would a coach rotate between lenses or wearing a hat? How to know which one is an optimal lens? I think it's about experience.
Lenses in terms of
Yeah.
what is seen as a hat
Yeah.
or lens here, because we're coaching and we're talking about coaching. We're not coaching and mentoring slash,
Mm.
so I'm not sure what is meant by
Yeah.
lens.
Even to me, it's not clear, but it's just if it means lenses of diversity and inclusion, and I believe it's always present as given. And we have a saying in our the coaching terms when I was learning about it is that we at the same time as coaches we are holding multiple screens. When they're on a Zoom screen, there are like 30 different screens. At any given moment, we're holding all these screens that is available with any human being. So, yes, Coach Afaf, with experience, it gets more easy and fluid. Uh, and I believe we're holding them at any given time.
I think he said lenses of diversity. So to
Mm.
add to that is lean into the competencies the ICF competencies are all there. They're about presence, suspending judgment, not labeling, all of these, getting curious, managing self and ideas. So if we go into the competencies, we just coach accordingly, but it has to come with an education also, and awareness of our own biases. I have heard coaches sometimes say, I cannot work with this nationality. Get curious about it. What is this resistance coming from? What assumptions are you making? And is it applicable to all people in that? Maybe you've had experiences with certain people. So we are here. I just want to really highlight something very important. We are here talking about lenses and culture and differences. At different dimensions of diversity. But it's very important to remember that the best way to coach is to connect with the human, to get curious, to listen, to use all the skills that we know as coaches, to suspend judgment, etc. Check with your own internal bias, do the work yourself. So this is where you become more skilled, let's say, with the diversity lens.
Yeah, I want to highlight this. This is such an important point because we're mostly talking about leaders and our clients, but as coaches, we have work to do. Constantly, first of all, educate ourselves with all these diversity literature and inclusion, but also the conscious and unconscious biases. That's why I highly recommend to always have your supervisors as coaches, to always have your mentors, to always have your own coach, to be able to discuss this because we are human. And I would love to say with all this experience, I don't have any biases, but I still do hold them. And I need to be aware and park them outside the door before my session, or really clear that assumption by a powerful question that I'm asking from my client. So, again, going back to basic skills of coaching, listening and powerful questions. And as Lina beautifully mentioned, all the core competencies, make sure that you review them from time to time and check in and see where am I as a coach, because we have huge responsibility.
Yeah, agreed. Yes, and Coach Abdel Sattar add diversity and cultural. I think it's important to put in the diversity, inclusion, and diversity lenses, which is important. And also, Coach Fariha, she said yes, constant self-growth, and she also thank you for bringing this topic and great knowledge from both of you. And she said you are ignite the passion and help us to read more about this matter, to also embrace new lenses. And yes, this is the most important, and we hopefully to get the benefit of this event. And also we have question from, yes, Coach Amna said Alpha Gen is the first gen dealing with the revolution of technology and digitalization also. Coach Saif said, ask, we need to develop cultural intelligence skills. Yes, of course. And last question, I think, from Coach Amna, what ongoing practice do I have in place to examine and challenge my unconscious biases as a coach? Okay, Coach Lina?
Honestly, I personally take a lot of, so I did a course on cultural communication, cross-cultural connection, and I keep on checking with myself during sessions what is resonant, what is relevant, what is triggering me. I do enroll in a lot of education about this topic, but also I practice it. Like I intentionally, like I'm blessed to be living in a region, and specifically in a country. I live in Dubai, where we celebrate almost every new year. the Chinese, the Indian, the Iranian, the regular, the Islamic. And there are celebrations that go around. I go and I take my, no, they're not kids, they don't go with me anymore, but for their teenagers. But I used to go and take them to all of these activities and learn more and get curious about what does this symbolize, what does it mean, and get in tune to my own feelings about this.
Yeah.
How do I feel? How do I think? How do I see it?
Yeah.
In a way. Fatima, you were about to add something.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm also yeah, very much aligned with what you say. And as coaches, and so for me, I do a lot of journaling. I write,
Yeah.
especially when I get uncomfortable in a session or I get triggered. I always write about it. But for me, that supervision, getting supervision, is really, really important to be able to talk about it with other coaches and with the supervisor is very helpful. And with time, you learn to check in with yourself. But what was coming to me as you were talking, Lina, is that these biases and unconscious biases or the conscious ones are can go so far. Even from my name, uh,
Hmm.
they immediately jump into certain conclusion. They know who I am, what I do, and it's like, and I've seen even just by hearing the name or by certain nationalities, it's an art to master, and I don't think we will ever fully master it. It's just constantly be aware of it and practice the check-ins is important. Yeah.
Interesting. Let me just please allow
Up.
Coach Abdel Sattar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach
Yeah, I
Abdel.
see his hands up. Yeah.
Yeah, please add Coach Abdel Sattar. Unmuted talk, please.
Yes, actually, I wanted to add something very important, whether Lina or Fatma, they mentioned about the culture. Actually, the culture comes from different perspectives, not only coaching, it comes from a marketing perspective. And Coach Fatma mentioned the art. I believe it's a science and the art. I remember when I was working for Unilever, there was a global ad that came from Dove International,
Yeah.
the soap Dove. And when it was introduced to Saudi, this was about 10 years back, Saudi was not the same Saudi it is today.
Yeah.
It has changed, it has evolved, it has opened up. So when the ad came and we did a market research for it, the culture itself refused the ad 100% because it was against the religion, it was against our culture. So we had to reframe the ad to fit the culture. So I totally agree when coaching people, we need
Oh, got
Coach
disconnected.
Abdel Sattar, I think we lose him.
He
I
dropped
think
it.
he
Yeah,
dropped.
yeah.
We
But
lose
I
him.
couldn't agree more. I come from
Yes.
marketing with multinationals,
Yeah.
and I know that we tested many, not only ads, statements we made to make sure they're landing correctly, because it goes again to the language also.
Yes.
How is it translated in certain languages, and what does it imply? Can change the whole concept and can be completely unacceptable. And yeah, it's very important to always check and understand the culture, not make assumption that this is the culture. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have another, the last question, if you don't mind, because we have a few minutes to wrap up. We have question from Coach Catherine. How widespread and accepted is the coaching culture in the Gulf region if you use a matrix over the past 10 years?
We meant milestones, I think. We've achieved a lot of big steps, to say the least. So when coaching was introduced, when I used to get, first of all, senior leaders did not accept to be coached. Other leaders were scared. They thought they were sent to coaching because they were underperformance or something. They want to fire them after that, or we are assessing them. There was a lot of misunderstanding of what coaching meant. So there was a lot of resistance. Even the companies did not have a clear understanding of, for example, there used to be a champion for coaching, somebody who really wanted this, but others who did not know why we're doing what we're doing. But with over time, and I've been an assessor for the PRISM Award, which is the Coaching and Organization Award. And over time, and that's really part of my passion, not only coaching, but advancing the coaching profession for individuals and in organizations, because we've come to establish there is impact, and it's a clear return on ROI, a positive return at many levels, at the level of collaboration of teams, at the level of communication, productivity, etc., etc. I hope I answered the question, but I think that was the perspective, like how did we move from 10 years to now, right?
I hope
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge leap, I would call it.
Yeah,
From
leap is the word.
from when people didn't know what coaching was to what it is. But I want to say that all these ICF chapters, I'm one of the founding members of ICF Dubai chapter. I'm one of the 4 people who started it, and back then it was really unheard of. But then all these ICF chapters in the region and working together and working with the headquarters, they made a huge difference in how the awareness was raised in people. And from not really knowing what it is, I remember when I first became a coach, in my first corporate contract, it was 2009, when I went to talk to them, it was a corporate I used to work before with. And they say, "Oh, it's so nice to see you back. We didn't know you're so passionate. But living in Dubai, isn't it too hot to do this?" Because they thought I'm a lifeguard by the swimming pool, sitting by the swimming pool. They really thought that. And they say, "Isn't it too hot for you during the summer?" And then I realized I have a lot of work to do to introduce this. And this is where we started to now, when in the HR summit, a very senior HR person comes to me and says, "Listen, we really have to have coaching in our organization because we're missing it." So it has become even a trend, which to me is a good sign. So yeah, definitely.
And I love that you're touching. I mean, I'm deeply involved with ICF, and I very much really championed coaching and raising that awareness of professional coaching in my roles with the ICF UAE and even now and beyond. So this is very important, because nowadays I want to touch on so the work that all the chapters are doing, and you people, and even the chapter members and the audience here, we're all creating this awareness about what really professional coaching is, and how it is differentiated from. Also, there is a lot of mess in the market of non-professional coaching. That's one thing. But the other thing I wanted to add also is that with the new generations, I don't know, Fatima, if all you also see that, but since the millennials and now the Gen Zers, they come to the workplace asking if part of the package they will get a coach. So that is now transforming slowly and surely.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing all these aspects and ways and lenses. Actually, you give me a lot of lenses today, not just lots of hats. It's become lenses today. And yeah, thank you so much for this, for bringing this such an important topic, and ignite the light for us to think about the cultural, the generational, the regional differences, and how to deal with coaching, how to deal with the clients through our coaches and our coaching with practices, with the best practices actually. So thank you so much. And if you don't mind, just allow me to all the coaches, please kindly scan the QR code for a quick survey, please. Take your time. Then when you finish, please. I didn't see the messages. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. You can see the evaluation. Coach Walid, thank you. Coach Walid also wrote the evaluation survey. And here, please don't miss the next the coming next event with Coach Ashraf Hilal tomorrow with Coach Walid. Inshallah, he will be the facilitator for this event. الحضور وقود الإبداع والابتكار. And you can, if you don't register, please scan the barcode. So you cannot miss this event. And yeah, thank you. Let me just again thank you, Coach Lina, Assaad, and Coach Fatima, vakhjavanpur. Thank you so much for being with us in the first event with us in ICF Saudi chapter during ICW celebrating this special event. And if you don't mind, just one word from each of you for all the coaches today.
I say thank you very much for hosting us. I am really honored to be here. I'm also honored with the number of audience and people who put the time to learn and grow. So I would say just keep learning and growing. Challenge your assumption. Look at diversity as opportunity. It can be simply an exercise of going to the next door and checking with the neighbor from another nationality what is food for dinner, or in the same place at the workplace. You're traveling the world, get curious about the cuisine and the different. Don't go for your own cuisine. I know we go for Arabic because we're traveling. Even in Italy, where can we find this? Go for something new, explore, challenge your biases, but most importantly, stay curious. Stay curious to what comes to you, and coach the whole person. It's simple. Hold that space for and presence for the beauty of that different person in front of you, because everyone is different, and these topics are not about generalizing. It's more about tailoring it better.
Yeah. Coach Fatma?
Yeah, thank you. Also, thank you so much for your presence. I'm looking at this group, and also there's so much diversity in this group, which is a pleasure to be part of. All I just need to add is that, like the different notes of the music, making a lovely song, harmonious song, we all have our own voices, our own sound. We all have our own stories. It's good to just tune in and listen and make that music. And just thank you, and the best of the best for the rest of the International Coaching Week.
Me too.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us today, tonight. And thank you for all
Thank you,
the
Coach.
knowledge and your experience and your time, actually. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.